Over the past few months, FBI offices in all 50 states made crushing violent crime a top enforcement priority. That's what they did, rounding up and arresting thousands of the most violent and dangerous criminals. And these are among the most dangerous and violent people in the world. As a result of these efforts, violent crime declined nearly 20% nationwide compared to the same period last year. And it was the safest and most peaceful summer in 2 decades.
President Trump yesterday celebrating the success of his federal crime crackdown. The administration says its efforts so far have resulted in the arrests of more than 23,000 violent offenders since January. That includes 4 of the FBI's most wanted. Bureau Director Kash Patel says federal agents arrested more than 8,600 violent criminals, seized more than 2,200 firearms, and took 421 kilograms of deadly fentanyl off the streets in just 3 months. That's all part of the FBI's Operation Summer Heat. And President Trump is looking on to the next city to send federal enforcement.
I'm going to be strongly recommending, at the request of government officials, which is always nice, that you start looking at San Francisco. I think we can make San Francisco. There's one of our great cities 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and now it's a mess. And we have great support in San Francisco, so I'd like to recommend that for inclusion.
So far, the president has deployed the National Guard to Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and Chicago, Illinois. In focus now, Senate Majority Whip John Barrasso of Wyoming, member of the Senate Finance Committee. Good to see you today. First of all, just talk to me about the efficacy of what the president is doing right now with this.
President Trump is keeping his promise of making America safer. You know, these big city mayors have for years failed to protect the people in their communities, have failed to apply the law of the land. So President Trump is stepping in where they have failed, rounding up, arresting, deporting illegal immigrants, criminals, gang members. People have a right to be safe and free in their states, in the cities where they live, in these big cities, in terms of going to work, going to school, and especially here in the nation's capital, Harris. Like, I get calls from family members, from family in Wyoming, who say, hey, my kids are coming to Washington on a school trip. Is it going to be safe for them? So this, to me, is about public safety. It's not about politics. It's about keeping the promises that the president has made.
You know, you talk about young people there, the children, grandchildren in your own family. They are at the heart of some of what's happening in the focus right now. The president has highlighted the Capitol, D.C.'s leniency toward youth criminals after an ex-DOJ staffer's young attackers are only facing probation for what they did to that young man. U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro now. Let's watch.
Your leadership has never been stronger.
How would it feel if Republicans did that at your office?
I haven't seen the video, so I'm unfamiliar with the character.
Young criminals in D.C. have been emboldened to commit crimes because they believe that they're not accountable. And why do they believe that? Because they are not accountable. We've got a D.C. council that has passed laws that make it almost impossible for me, as both federal prosecutor and kind of quasi-local prosecutor, to be able to incarcerate these kids.
And I apologize for the technical messiness, but we finally got to the U.S. Attorney for D.C., Jeanine Pirro, and you hear her talking about, the frustration with the current policies toward youth criminals. Your reaction?
Well, she's exactly right. That's the thing that I find most disturbing, is that when law enforcement is out doing their job, what's happening? They're getting attacked not just by criminals, but also by the Democrats, by the far left wing of the Democrats Party, and that's in the big city leadership. You're seeing it in Congress. The Democrats have become the party of crime and criminals. Remember, they're the ones that want to defund the police completely. They're the ones that want open borders. They want cashless bail, easy out, get them out of jail right away, let them go, parole, nothing else. That's the big problem with this. But Harris, across the country, people are very happy with what the president is doing in terms of making America safer. Poll numbers show what the president is doing in crime is very popular, and some people, he needs to get even tougher. And that's where I see the president really showing his leadership all across the country, trying to make America safer.
All right. Well, right now, the U.S. Senate is voting to advance the House-passed Republican funding plan for a 10th time. The government shutdown. This is day 16 in that, and these are live pictures of the U.S. Senate floor. House Democrats caused chaos on Capitol Hill this week. They were storming Speaker Mike Johnson's office, pushing for him to swear in a newly elected Democrat congresswoman despite the shutdown. Watch this.
Swear her in! Swear her in! Swear her in! Daniela.
And there's video of Democrat Congresswoman Nanette Barragán screaming at a Capitol police officer. She claims he put his hands on her. Democrats then pushed their way past Capitol Police and tore down the name sign on Speaker Johnson's door. Again, here's how House Majority Leader Hakeem Jeffries is reacting to all of that. We just played a little bit by mistake. Now it's on purpose.
How would it feel if Republicans did that at your office?
I haven't seen the video, so I'm unfamiliar with the characterization that you are presenting. Congresswoman Nanette Barragán has issued a statement on the incident, and I think her statement speaks for itself.
But what do you think about it?
Same answer.
Okay, well, then we better know what the statement says, right? So here it is from the Congresswoman. Quote, I know they have a difficult job and are being asked to work without pay during this Republican shutdown. I am hopeful that Capitol Police leadership would make sure our officers are trained well and do not prevent members from carrying out their constitutional duties, end of quote. So, Senator Barrasso, those are two different things, though. She says somebody put her hands on her. Obviously, that wasn't in the statement. She was taking issue with she couldn't go where she wanted to go.
Well, Democrats all across the Capitol are continuing to suck up to the far left wing of the party. You see it happening with Chuck Schumer right now. As you said, we're voting in the Senate to keep the government open. The Democrats want to get it shut. They want to keep it closed. Republicans want to open the government. It is a dangerous political game that they're playing. People's lives are at stake. Every day that this Schumer shutdown continues makes it worse and more dangerous for the American people. You know, one of the things that they're doing, the Democrats are doing, and you saw it there with the attack in the Speaker's office, and you see it here on the Senate floor, is Schumer said the other day, every day gets better for us. I want to know who the us is. It's not the people who are working without pay, the TSA agents, the air traffic controllers, the Border Patrol. One Senate staff member told CNN, and this is somebody that's in all the meetings, I believe, with the leadership, is, oh, unless planes start falling out of the sky, we're going to continue the shutdown. And as you know, and that's horrible, they have this big I Hate America rally that's this Saturday in Washington and across the country, where you have all these far-left activist groups coming to protest the president and the administration. I mean, that's who's running the party, and Chuck Schumer is completely beholden to them. He has a leash around his neck. They've orchestrated this shutdown, and it has to end, and the American people deserve better than what we're getting from the Democrats right now.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it all up, and we're watching this live. There's no reason to think, and you're in the Senate, I have to ask you, any reason to think more Democrats will join your side?
I don't see it happening today. You know, they're demanding $1.5 trillion, including health care for illegal immigrants, to keep the government open for 4 more weeks. I mean, that's not serious. It's not principled. This is something orchestrated by the far left, these dangerous radical individuals who are running the party, and they're running it into the ground.
Yeah, and every time they vote, we all have their names on record. So we're covering every minute of this. Senator Barrasso, thank you for being in focus today.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.